Thank you. The professor hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah. Let's do it right here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, is everything going all right?
Yes. So can I show the predict page?
Oh,
first?
sure. That would be
Can I
good.
show it?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Professor.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
All right, what are we looking at today?
Now they are not equal. It's the same
Oh, okay,
distance.
that's good. Yeah.
And we like to ask you some question about.
Sorry, you're cutting out.
Other tests like color.
Yeah.
You see the result.
Can you repeat that?
Pardon?
Can you repeat what you
that?
said? You were very choppy.
Yeah, house means is that we are not sure the color means.
Yeah.
So we do this is first. So Professor, do you mean the color is in the slide bar? So okay.
Sorry, which color are you talking about?
You can click detail. Yeah. So you means is the changed color is the slide bar color.
Did I ask you to change color?
Yeah. So we are not
Color
Not
of
sure.
what?
I think he mentioned rather than emotion, it's using color as a scale.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
week you mentioned just as some color.
No, yeah, that's right. So rather than those emotions, can you have another example of this mapping? But in this case, you're going to map between the actual color space and how people perceive the color. So you can have a different shades of red and green and blue, and you can ask user to place different shades of green or red, and with with the different distances in between. So my intention is that, okay, say you have a space going from red, green to blue, right? You're changing color. Okay. You can simply put the green in the middle of red and blue.
This is how to test the color.
Yeah, so for example, it doesn't have to be just 3 colors. Okay. Say you pick the 5 colors or 6 colors. Okay. And then you can ask a user to place those colors in order. And they don't have to place those color in equal distances. If the user thinks a certain color is very similar to some other, they can place them very close to each other. Do you understand?
Wow.
So basically, I want to see how people perceive the color. So if you have the example of the slider bar, you
Oh,
can say, okay,
like not so red, a little bit red, very red. Yeah.
Can you show the slide bar again?
yeah, well, I'm not sure whether you want to use a slider
Yes.
bar or not, but say, you have 6 colors you pick. Okay, some of them they're very similar color, some are very different color, but you're going to ask a user to place those colors in order, and they can leave the gap between based on how they feel about the similarity of the colors. If they think the colors are very similar, they can leave the distance between those two colors very small. If they think those colors are very different, then
Yes.
they can leave the huge gap in between.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
So if you can have that example added, then
Yes.
that will be great. So you can have 2 different the mapping of people's perception of something. One is a very
Yes.
linguistic or emotional expression.
And
Another
we
one
will
is how people
implement
perceive
more
color.
test cases. Yeah.
But did you understand what I meant by color, changing color, or all right?
Sorry, Professor, can you
Yep.
repeat? I think the internet is not good today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sound,
Okay.
yeah. It sounds
Right.
some,
So imagine you have 6 colors.
Yes.
Okay. 6 different colors. Now you're going to ask a user to place those colors according to how they feel about how different those colors are. Okay. So they can place those, say, 6 colors, 2 completely different ones on the 2 endpoints, one on the left, far left, and one on the far right. And the other 4 colors they need to put in the middle. But they can change the location of those colors depending on how they feel about which colors are similar.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you can get the data from many users, then you can do the same thing you did that for the emotions and find out the location of each colors. And you can create this nonlinear mapping between colors and how we perceive those colors according to the similarity of the colors.
Yes, understood.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So if you can have that example, then your system can have 2 different psychometric measurement or mapping examples. One is those emotion one is a color, and that should be enough for as a system. Then you can start finishing up your project.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And did we talk about testing last week? Testing of your system. Did we talk about that last week?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you're using captions. Okay, that's right. And then that's fine. Okay. So you're running the test as a part of that workflow.
Yes.
Okay, good, good. And also as a part of the report, I think you probably should get the data for the code coverage.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Oh, nothing, no question here.
No?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, then we can see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
See you,
Cheers.
Professor. See you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, guys,
I think-
I think it's pretty good, right?
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Yeah, next week we
Uh,
will and something about the color.
Yeah, do you understand what he meant by that aspect?
Oh, maybe you should repeat.
Oh, okay. So you remember that how we created the very unhappy, not so unhappy, happy, different things like all the scale. So
Yes.
rather than being just those label like very unhappy, happy, very happy, you would use color instead, and then allow the user to put the scale on different numbers, and then afterwards you use the k-means, which you have been using in order to find the mean value for the number, and then finally you can then display it on the scale. So it's same. It's pretty much the same as what you have been doing. It's just that rather than from the very unhappy extreme to the very happy extreme, you simply use like, let's say 6 different colors to allow user to place the label.
Okay.
So it's not too different than what you have been doing. So it should be very straightforward to implement.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yep, all good. Another thing that he mentioned was code coverage. Do you know what that is?
No.
Sorry, it's
Okay,
called.
because you said yes, right? Code coverage is, you can search for it. Coverage is COVERAGE. It means how many percentage of the code are covered by your unit tests.
Yes.
Yeah, so what that means is, because maybe if you only have, let's say, one unit test, you only cover one function call, right? So code coverage basically measure the amount of percentage that your code had cover. You would want to make it as close to 100 as possible, but most of the time that might not be achievable. But whatever the case is, code coverage just means like a percentage of how many percentage of your code are covered by your unit test. Does it make sense?
Oh, yes.
Were you able to search up for it?
Yes, just searching.
Yeah, did you find it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it will be something like So sometimes when you look at the GitHub, they might have these badges, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's basically a percentage of the coverage. You want to get as close to 100 as possible, but sometimes that might not be possible, which is okay as well. And code coverage, I think there should be a GitHub action that helps you to check for code coverage as well. So, so you can immediately, I don't know which GitHub action is the best to do, but I know that most of the time they use CodeCov as like a website, and then you can use GitHub action to upload your code to CodeCov. So CodeCov is like a website where they allows you to test for code coverage. It lets you know which has been covered, which has not been covered in terms of the code. So if you look at some of the screenshots that they are showing, the green means that the code has been covered. The red means that the code has not been covered. Do you know what does it mean by covered or not covered?
You mean useful code and useless code?
Not exactly, no. So let me see if I can find an example for it. So if you look at this function, green means that your unit test has called a function, but maybe for your function reason, your unit test has never called a function, so your unit test couldn't check whether it is correct or not, right?
Yeah, so the red part is the code didn't use.
Yes, exactly. And didn't use in your unit test. Yeah, so
Okay.
So the percentage is how much code have been covered by your unit test. So you want to use, because the idea is you want to unit test as many functions as possible. So you would try to cover as many code as possible.
Okay, yeah. I get
Does it make sense? Okay, cool. That's good then. You can look more about it, but yeah, feel free to let me know if it doesn't make sense. Yep, go on.
It's easy to understand them, yeah.
Okay, that's good then. Any other thing that you want me to cover based on what the professor had talked about?
No.
Okay, that's good then. So there is something that I want to inform you guys. So first of all is about the upcoming assignment. So a few of the other group had asked me about the group presentation. So I think it might be good for me to briefly explain how the presentation is going to be like.
Yeah.
So for the presentation, it's going to be recorded for this semester. So you would record your presentation and submit your recorded presentation on this date. So your presentation is going to be so you will have like a PowerPoint slides, and then your entire screen could be a PowerPoint.
Uh-huh.
And then on the top right or top left corner, you maybe have like a webcam, like a rectangular shape to showcase you talking through the PowerPoint slides.
Okay.
And then every member should talk about the presentation. So it's like the typical face-to-face presentation, except it's recorded. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so other than the fact that it's recorded, it's pretty similar to face-to-face presentation, except one thing, except the Q&A sections. So pay attention to this one. So after you submit your presentations, there is going to be a Q&A section, which is not on the same date. So we will reschedule. So the marker is going to first watch your presentations, and then at some date later, we will have a 15 minutes Q&A sections. So the Q&A section is like the typical Q&A sections after any presentation that you might have previously, except we are doing it on Zoom. And so I will for sure be one of the marker. And then there's also another academic who knows about the topic that you are doing, which in this case, probably it's on software development and maybe in computer science. And we don't know the exact date yet because it all depends on your availability and the marker's availability. Later on, we will release a schedule, like different time slots for you to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's about it. Any questions regarding on the presentation?
Will the client also come?
You can invite the client if you want.
No.
Oh, yeah. So it's not compulsory. So you can, but in your case, probably you wouldn't want, I'm guessing. So that's good as well. And yeah, so that's it for group presentations. Maybe since I'm already here, I will also briefly talk about the final report. Yeah, so it's very similar to your proposal report, except here you are writing what actually happened rather than just proposing an idea when you first started the project. Here, it's contribution statement. You just write, like list out the contribution of each member. So maybe some member is in charge of writing the interface for the website. Some member might be in charge of researching different algorithm for the mapping. So these are just gonna list out different contribution for each members.
Okay.
And there are different table of content. I want to move your attention to the marking rubrics when you're writing for the group final report. So I want to emphasize that whenever you're writing the report, you should pay close attention to the marking rubrics, because I think it's always good to focus more on parts that are more important. So if you look at the mark, the last 3 sections is the main focus because each of them are worth 20%.
Oh, okay.
So you should always focus on these 3 parts first. And the amount of content that you have for these sections should also be similar to the mark that they are worth. So the result, the discussion, limitation and future works would be the main part. So you should focus on them. But for your case, the result will be showcasing the user interface and the website. Discussion might be about discussing why it's significant, the outcome of your project, as well as what you had contributed. As for limitations, you can talk about if there is any limitations in the project scope, for example, limiting amount of data. Maybe for your limitation, it will be the lack of surveys. And for future, right, it would be for you to talk about what could be done in the future.
Okay.
The rest, I will let you go through it later on when you're free, but it's pretty much the same as the proposal report, except for the project plan. You write about the actual timeline that had happened rather than the proposed timeline. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Feel free to go through them later on, and then you can ask me more in depth about specific sections next week if you have questions about them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's about it. Any other questions?
Oh, no question. Very clear.
All right, awesome. That's great then. Yeah, so always feel free to let me know if there's anything that you want me to clarify. It's great that you guys have been doing such a great work over the weeks. Yeah, so good luck with it. I will see you guys next week then.
See you.
Yeah. All right, cool. See you.
Yeah.
Bye.